If we say that this, do tribes disdain something? Does every ego-identified group disdain something about some other group or about themselves or both all the time? Do they feel guilt, shame, self-judgment? Do they go into self-punishment, or do they feel judgment and punishment and hatred and vilification of others? Do they feel that there are perpetrators out there and they're a victim, or do they feel that they've been the perpetrator and other people are their victims? Or do they imagine themselves to be the rescuer of the poor innocent victims from the evil, bad perpetrators? And is this just a game of cops and robbers that is a skipping record that can go on endlessly, and we play it on the deck of the Titanic while the Titanic sails on to hit the iceberg? We can choose otherwise. So if we say that tribe is a process, in part, there's a lot of things, a lot of good things, a lot of wonderful community things, sharing of experience and love and kindness and care and service to each other. And it's also a process of judgment, disdain, ego, and better than-ness or status seeking, power seeking, control seeking, fear, and sometimes hatred. And it need not be. And it's a choice to operate for any group of people, not a tribe. We'll say a group, a conscious group. Anybody can become a conscious group, can operate as a conscious group. And then when they do, they will either operate not tribally at all, or they will operate, for the most part, transcendent of tribal dynamics. So this disdain nothing except all that is, as it truly is, not with some veneer and not with some projection of any kind. It's a discipline. It's a choice. It's something that is arrived at through willful intentionality that operates in a sustained way. So if we fall into resonance with the emotional dynamics of any group, of any tribal group or any nation or any political system or party, and say, oh, we're good and the others are bad, we're saving people and we're saving them from these bad people. We're not suggesting that in the past that didn't have a significant degree of utility. It did. Is it useful for our world to be taken over by dictators that have personal agendas and are willing to kill hundreds of thousands of people for their own personal ego process? We would suggest not. And that said, at what point do we shift gears and shift consciousness enough to say, as a collective international community, for example, why didn't every leader in this world go meet Vladimir Putin and say, we love you, we care about Russia, we don't want to vilify you, and we also don't want you to hurt us. How can we collaborate? Why didn't that happen? And can it happen now? Couldn't that happen today? Couldn't every world leader today choose that path? And would that be a path to collective peace? And would that mean that people would not be dying needlessly in Ukraine? And some would say, oh, well, it's not needless because it's bringing us to this point of understanding of how we could collaborate collectively. So that sacrifice of those lives, we could say, oh, there's a purpose in it. Of course, there's always a purpose. We're not advocating their deaths. We're not advocating pain and suffering. It's just that our species has chosen to learn and evolve via pain and suffering in the past. And now there's no requirement for that to be the case in the future. We can choose otherwise. So in regard to the climate crisis, if we say, oh, the bad people in Exxon or in the fossil fuel companies are destroying our world and they're bribing all of the politicians to give them $5 trillion in subsidies every year globally, so Aren't they evil? Aren't they bad? Aren't they destroying our world? Shouldn't we destroy them, or shouldn't we punish them, harm them, jail them, diminish them? We would suggest that there are other ways to truly solve this, not in ways that are punishing, and because there's other ways to learn rather than punishment, shaming, vilification, or judgment or abandonment. And we can teach those, we can offer those, we can model those, we can educate those ways as a collective to each other.